Hey everyone, last week there was an article in the Wall Street Journal about how Welltower went big into seniors housing beginning in 2020 as we were navigating the COVID pandemic. At that time, occupancy at seniors housing facilities was falling and many were facing severe headwinds. But I suspect the Welltower leadership team was less focused on the immediate short-term challenges. Instead, they were likely looking forward to the demographic wave of aging baby boomers. 84% of seniors housing residents are aged 75 and older, and over the last several years, that population has been growing rapidly. The US population aged 80 and older will grow by about 4.8% per year over the next 5 years, fueling demand for seniors housing and medical office space. But at the same time, seniors housing construction has slowed. Back in 2020 and 2021, investors like Welltower laid their bets based on that long-term mathematical reality. They were anticipating that at some point the scales would tip in their favor and new demand for seniors housing would dramatically outpace new supply. Today, seniors housing occupancy levels are above where they were before the pandemic and they're climbing steadily. But this video isn't about seniors housing. It's about long-term drivers and how investors can leverage developing trends to frame their investment strategies. And this week, I'm going to highlight two significant long-term trends that investors should consider. The first focuses on housing. Now, there are multiple facets to this concept that all suggest multifamily properties are positioned to strengthen over the next 5 years. To start, becoming a homeowner has become increasingly challenging. Although home prices have remained relatively stable for the last year, they remain elevated. And in conjunction with higher mortgage rates, home payments remain dramatically higher than average rents. As a result, the median age of first-time homebuyers is now 40 years old. 5 years ago, the median age was 33 years old, and 15 years ago, the median age of first-time homebuyers was 30 years old. So the loss of apartment tenants to home ownership has been decreasing, and the average age of renter households has been rising. Over the next 5 years, the renter cohort between 25 and 44 years of age will rise modestly. But recently, the number of young adults between the ages of 18 and 34 who are living with family has risen to a record high 25.2 million people. Historically, when we've seen a surge like this, it has reflected a significant economic headwind. But the trend has usually been followed by a sharp decline in young adults living with family, as the young adults move out en masse to form new households and rent apartments. This combination of modestly positive demographics, elevated barriers to homeownership, and an increased number of young adults living with family suggests that demand for multifamily housing over the next 5 years should strengthen substantively. The second long-term trend is tied to the millennial generation, who are now in their 30s and early 40s. This oversized age cohort of 74 million people is now moving into their prime earning years of between 45 and 54 years old, which coincides with the prime spending years. Now, while this key demographic is expected to grow by 6% over the next 5 years, other age cohorts are aging out of their prime spending years. So, driven by demographics, spending is expected to grow in net by 5.1% over the next 10 years. When you factor in the increasing propensity to eat out at restaurants and bars, the outlook for this type of retail strengthens. At the same time, the growing demand for services, activities, and entertainment will bolster brick and mortar retail space demand. In addition, people are buying more stuff online, pushing the growth of e-commerce as a share of core retail sales at a linear pace to comprise 23.4% of the total. As that trend drives forward, it bodes well for industrial space demand. And at the same time, The industrial sector is also being boosted by rising business inventories. As a result, space demand drivers for industrial, retail, and multifamily, in addition to seniors housing and medical office, all look favorable over the next 5 to 10 years. So while there's still a lot of moving parts in the economy today, and that's raising uncertainty, when you look past the short-term noise and focus on reliable long-term drivers, the commercial real estate outlook remains compelling. And that's the key for investors who keep their eyes on the horizon.